This is Daphne from STEAM Design Lab. Today I'm going to show you how to make the rolled newspaper tubes we'll be using in our Summer Design Challenge. If you would like to learn more about the challenge, check out our website at steamdesignlab.com. The newspaper tubes we'll be making are super simple. The first one I'll be showing you is the single layer tube. Start with a regular sheet of newspaper, preferably the larger sheet size. Position it in front of you so that one of the corners is pointing in your direction. Now fold that corner over, just about an inch or an inch and a half of it, and then fold it again, this time the smallest fold that you can make. Next you'll start rolling. Notice I'm rolling with two hands and I'm holding that roll tightly together with my fingers, just to keep it from unraveling. Looser rolls tend to be a little weaker, and the point of this is to build something that's fairly strong. So you want to practice rolling these until you can get them fairly tight. When you get to the end, pick it up and take a little piece of masking tape and just close it up. Next, I'll show you how to do the multi-layer tube. You may want to do this if you're planning on building an extra large structure and you need tubes that are extra strong. Now the process is very similar to what we did when we rolled a single layer tube. Of course, this time we're using 3 layers of newspaper. You need to get your newspaper layers lined up, and then once again, start by folding the corner. Now fold it again and start rolling. The tube you're going to form will be a lot thicker than the one you formed in the first step, and it'll be a lot stronger. You'll notice though that when you get to the end, the layers of newspaper sort of spread apart a little bit. So you're going to have to use a big enough piece of tape and make sure that you're catching all the layers of newspaper when you tape it. The last example I'll show you is the glued edge tube. Here I'm showing you how to glue the edges of a triple layer tube. However, you can still glue the edge of a single layer tube as well. Just like the last time we did this, you're going to line up your 3 sheets of paper, you're going to fold your edge, fold it again, and start rolling. Now this is a specialized tube and it's only going to be required in certain situations. I'll get into that a little bit later. You'll want to stop rolling your tube when you get to that first corner. Notice I'm holding on to the tube with my one hand as I apply the glue with my other. In the triple layer tube, you'll have to roll back the top 2 layers and apply a bead of glue along the 2 edges of the bottom layer. Then continue to drop those layers back down until you have the top layer back into its original spot. This is what it would look like if you were just doing a single layer tube. You might also have noticed that I didn't press the papers down after I applied the glue. I'm waiting until I roll that tube up completely before I press those edges down. This tube is a little bit trickier to handle than the rest of them, and it's really not required unless you're planning on trimming your tubes into smaller pieces. You'll understand why in the next step. The final step will be trimming the tubes. There are a couple reasons that you might want to do this. The main reason is related to the way we rolled the tubes. Now, since we started at one corner and ended at the other, you'll probably notice that the tube is a little bit thicker in the center than it is at the edges. To address this issue, I'm just trimming off a little bit of my ends so that my tube is fairly strong all the way across. Now I'm trimming off about 3.5 inches. There's nothing magical about that number. You can decide how much you'd like to trim off your tubes. if you even want to trim any at all. It really isn't a requirement. Notice that the edges I trimmed have become unraveled. That's because I did not glue the edges of that tube. The same thing will happen on my triple layer tube that was not glued. Now here you'll see what happens when I trim the glued edge tube. Again, I'm trimming off about 3.5 inches from the edge, but notice the tube pretty much stays together. The reason this is important is only if you're planning on using shorter segments of your tube. If you're going to build parts that involve small pieces of tube and you want to roll it once and then cut that into small segments, that's the time you'll want to glue the edges of your tube. I hope you found this helpful. Happy innovating!